believe that when the going gets rough, you gotta hang tough to make it. History repeats itself, try and you'll succeed. Never doubt that you're the one, and you can have your dreams. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever take you down. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever take you down. You're the best around.
They grew up together. They played the same sports. They attended the same schools. And now they even teach together. You're listening to DC and DH on the D&D Dynamite 80s podcast. Let's start another one. Yes. Let's do that.
All right, DC.
Welcome in. Hey, how are you?
Good.
Hey, that was right on time. Let my brother be in here. Get DH going as well. That was great time, and I think he was doing that on purpose. That's what I think. All right. Talk to me, DH. He's there.
Hey, DH.
Hey, how are you today? Sorry for running late there.
No, you're good, brother.
Yeah.
We all have to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, perfect timing. I was about to introduce our guest.
Perfect.
So that was ideal, my man.
Oh, I don't have a hat.
Notice I kept mine right there on the wall.
That's right. Well prepared. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, DH, we have an awesome guest tonight. And I've got some interesting stuff that I want to talk to him about the karate stuff in the movie and all that good
Yes.
stuff. And he's taught it for a long time. So we'll have a good time. We got Darryl Vidal, and he is one of the actors, and I'm going to call him an actor. He was in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he did some unbelievable. You need to go back and see it. I've seen it a zillion times, but his moves are just unbelievable. He's going to talk about the crane technique too.
Sure.
Some people don't know about the beach scene. Let me just put it this way: it wasn't Mr. Miyagi.
Hey, did you tell him?
So we'll go into that.
Did you tell him about my crane technique?
I know.
When I fall,
I know.
That's when I fall down, they have to call a crane to pick me up.
Yeah, that's about the only crane we know about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Daryl, how are you, my friend?
I'm well. Glad to be on with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Your-
Daryl, thank
your
you for joining us. I really
Privilege is
really
ours.
appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
my friend. Let me start with this first. You actually the character you played was yourself. They used your name.
They use my name. That's
And
correct.
what's cool is if you really look very closely in the background on the tournament bracket, they've got your name on there.
Yeah.
It is.
They do.
More than once.
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's some cool stuff.
Well,
But
here's the funny story behind it is that there's really not a lot to it. Basically, we were getting into, I think it was October of '93, about when we were actually it was in December. We're buttoning up, finishing the tournaments, doing those final scenes, almost the year end. And the director, John Alvinson, comes to me and says, yeah, we need a character name for you because we're going to have it up on the board and stuff. And so I think we're just going to use your name. And I said, okay, that's great.
well, there you go. There you go.
go.
That works.
Yeah. So they stuck it in the script, and
Right.
Bruce Malmuth, the announcer, practicing Darryl Vidal, the blah blah blah, and they put the things on the scoreboard, and
Right.
that was the deep story behind that.
Awesome. And I think I read this somewhere. Since we're going to kind of focus around that tournament.
Sure.
I guess the main referee, he really officiates and oversees that, right?
So that's Pat Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the center ref in all the final matches.
Right.
And if you watch martial arts movies, you've probably seen him before in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
In Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, during the beginning of the movie, Roper, right? He's played by John Saxon. is playing golf, and then he goes back into the woods there, and there's a gangster, a heavy duty gangster guy who says, "It's the dough, Roper. We got to break something." And that's Pat Johnson.
Okay.
And he's a
Yeah.
highly accomplished a martial artist. He was already legendary at the time, so I knew who he was. And he did a lot of stunt coordination and fight coordination, including all the Karate Kid movies. So yeah, he's quite a legend. In fact, I was going through and realizing, looking back, almost 40 years ago.
Sure.
If you are familiar with, 80s karate, there's probably 4 or 5 very famous martial arts instructors who are those officiators.
Okay.
So if you wanted to, we could name off quite a few. But,
Wow.
They might be obscure names, but people who've been around martial arts like
would
I
know
have,
them. Sure.
would know them. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
You know,
So the director, I'm sorry, DH, go ahead.
No, you go right ahead.
I was going to follow up a little bit with that. Was so the director wanted it to be legit, didn't he? It sounds to me like.
Yeah, he recognized that they were actors and they were training them. So part of the reason that he scouted for me, and this is the whole story of how he went to a karate tournament. I was competing in that karate tournament, and his objective was to bring in some real martial artists and add some flair and realism to it. And,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the cool things for me is my youngest granddaughter and oldest grandson both take karate, and it's really cool because we actually sat down, I guess it's about 2 weeks ago, and watched Karate Kid.
Oh, okay.
And they would get up and they would start doing the moves with the show, and it was like, that was really cool. So the effect that has even on younger kids is amazing, and that's one
after all these years.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that in just a second, because obviously we're both teachers and you're a teacher, so I want to delve into that here in just a second. But also, this is pretty cool, DH, as I did some research. What was the story about when the movie came out? You took your future wife? Go ahead and finish that story.
That's an obscure story. Yeah, I mean, obviously I had, friends, and when the movie was about to come out,
right?
I was dating my future wife, my current wife, April, and we just celebrated our 36th wedding anniversary.
Oh, fantastic! Congratulations.
So we were still dating, and I said, "Hey, let's go see this new movie called The Karate Kid." And so we went to the opening night, and a couple of my friends were there. Come along with us, third, fourth, fifth wheels, and they were sitting, I can't remember, she tells the story better, but they were either sitting in front of us or behind us, but we weren't all sitting together. But as soon as my scenes start to come up, and remember, they're just quick, 1 second, 2 second flashes. They're making such a ruckus that she's not looking at the screen, and she doesn't see any of the shots. So I'm like, you didn't even realize, what happened. And then we're at the movie's over, and people are saying, "Hey, you were in the movie." And she's like, "What?" So
she missed it. Oh man, yeah, it is. That's an awesome story.
We had to go see it again just so that you can watch it and take it all in.
That's awesome. Here's my guess as well about the actual, because we'd already said something a little bit about the actors, and to me, they seem like they put on a pretty legit performance. So did they try to work hard at it? They seem
they absolutely did. I mean, Pat Johnson, who, like we talked about, the center ref, also was their trainer. And so in the summer of 1983, we trained together for 6 weeks. So he brought us together. He had all the Cobra Kais, and myself included, train for like a couple hours each morning. And then separately, he would train Pat Morita and Ralph, so that they were kind of learning different stuff, and building a little, clicking-ish between the Cobra Kais. So, and I was lucky enough to train with them. So I could, Pat was good enough to let me, help on some of the scenes, suggest some moves, and just help bring some realism to their karate, because they couldn't really spar, in karate. What kind of culminates the martial arts is when you're sparring with each other. But as actors, you can't let them spar; they'll hurt you. They get hurt. They can't film. So there was quite a bit of effort into making their karate look pretty good.
Sure. Another thing that is interesting to me, as I did the research and didn't know this until we started hooking up to do this, that crane technique on the beach. So
that's really cool.
how did all that come about? Where they
Yeah,
chose you to do that?
It's a really interesting story because it wasn't presented to me until we started working and coming and training together. And so I can't remember if it was the first week or so, but it was the writer, Robert Kamen, the director, John Alvinson, and Pat Johnson basically came to me and said, okay, we like what you're doing. We want you to play this other part in the movie, where Pat Morita, or Mr. Miyagi, is going to be performing this thing called the crane technique. And so I'd never heard of the crane technique. It's not real. So I mean, there's crane kung fu and there's jump kicks, but not in this exact method
combination. Yeah.
Exactly. So they described it to me. They said, okay, so like a crane, you're gonna put your arms out to the side and you want to stand on one leg, because the idea is Daniel's going to get his knee hurt, so he's going to have to be able to execute some sort of technique while standing on one leg. So I said, okay, well, why would you ever do that? I would, as a fighter, I would never put my arms out and stand on one leg. So they said, well, that's the crane technique. And I said, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I have to ask.
I'll do anything you want.
Right.
And so the premise as it was presented to me was that he'd be standing on top of a post, and standing on one leg, with the arms outstretched, and then he would jump, kick with that leg, and then land on that leg. Well, I kind of know that kind of doesn't work that way. It works better if you jump with one leg, kick with that, and then land on the other leg. So kind of like you're switching feet.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let me try it. And so I worked with it for a while. And I actually worked and talked with one of the other Cobra Kai's, Ron Thomas, who played Billy or Bobby, and because he was also a martial artist.
Oh, okay.
And we can talk about more about that. But so I kind of was working with them and we're doing this. And finally, I said, look, there is this kick called the double jump kick where we stand with one. We can like fake with one leg. You fake with one leg and then you kick with the other leg. It's called a double jump kick. And there's a lot of different names for it. And, in Japanese, it's called the Mayatobi Geri, and other people call it, double jump or a fake kick. I call it a double jump kick. And so I said, we'll do the double jump kick. And I showed them how that works. They said, okay, that looks good. And then they said, but you got to do something with your hands. Okay, so I said, okay, we'll start here. We'll start here, which is a guard that comes from Wing Chun. So if you watch Bruce Lee or like Donnie Yen, you'll see them using the stance. Well, that comes from there. And then come down low and make your arms outstretched, bring the knee up, and jump. And then they say, okay, so you're going to do it on top of this post. Okay, all right. So that's interesting. So in order to practice that, I basically took a paper plate and put it on the floor, because it's about a 1 foot circle.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. And then so I started doing it and I realized, hey, that's pretty simple actually. And get my foot to land, after some practice, no problem. Okay. Wow. So later, a week or so later, Pat Johnson actually had brought in a piece of a telephone pole It was probably about 4 feet high. And they brought it in. It was very heavy. So it was sitting there, and he moved it into place and said, okay, let's try it here. I said, well, it's not secured. It probably move, I'll fall off of it. So Pat Johnson, who's, this stocky, strong martial arts guy, he's the stunt coordinator and my boss for all intents and purposes, gets down on his knees and is holding the post like this while I practice it a few times. And I'm just thinking, man, if I fall, I'm going to land on this guy's head,
Right.
So I had a pretty good impetus not to fall. And so I did it several times, and it worked out, and they liked what they saw. So that's kind of where the crane technique came from.
So in the actual tournament scenes, was there full contact in that, or were you guys pulling back? Because I always
no contact. I mean, there's some stories that Ralph hit Johnny or Billy, and Billy hit Ralph at different parts of the fight scenes. But no, it was all fully choreographed and pulled, and pretty much very minimal, if no contact.
Yeah. I wondered that because I'd heard some stories that there was some contact, and I was like,
well, I mean, I would tell you the one of my scenes where I do a spinning back knife edge into the larger gentleman. I nailed him. But see, the thing is we were choreographing things, and he actually trained, so he knew some karate. So I knew he could take the shot. We practice it, so I could do it, kind of hit him, and not not hurt him too much. And so but the next day he did have a bruise on his chest.
Oh wow!
So I guess I did and made some contact. I probably did it like 3 or 4 times. So but he was a really good sport. He played right into it, took the shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out well.
It's before we get into your teaching part. Just to wrap this part up a little bit, it's gotta be what's the feeling to be in one of the most famous movies, and it's come back. All these kids that never knew nothing about it. Here comes Cobra Kai series. I'll get your opinion on that here in a little bit too.
Yeah.
What is your you got to feel proud about that?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Endlessly. It's funny because I never really would talk about it, right? After it came out in the 80s, it had its run, a pretty good run. And then it kind of faded into video, but it would show up on TV all the time. So it kind of stayed alive. And even back 10 years, 15 years after it came out, I was like, wow, they still play this movie. But it really kind of faded out. I went about my life. I got married, started having kids, and follow a career and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But it was always there, and it was always like, man, I can't believe this movie. And then a few things happened. For instance, for the first 20 years, there was no way that I could prove that I did the crane kick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because if you look at the cast and all the information, which is just basically what you can find, on the DVDs and stuff, I only get credit for being in the tournament. And so I could say, hey, I did the crane kick, but people also thought that either Miyagi did it or that Fumio Demura did it, who did his other stunts. So it was kind of like, man, I never got credit for that. But then when the 20-year director's cut came out, they did a 20-year anniversary, and they actually have John Alvinson, the director, and Pat Morita and Ralph talking in the background as one of the special edits. And then when they get to the crane technique, Ralph goes, oh, and there's that guy, Daryl. Yeah, he's really good, did the crane kick. Yeah, that was good. And I was like, see?
Yeah, there you go.
It's true.
Yes.
Yes. And but that was even still 20 years out. So what's that? 80s and early 2000s.
2000, yeah.
The internet's just starting to come about.
Sure.
And then, so yeah, still really not much. And it wasn't until the 30-year anniversary where I got invited to some, reunion events.
Mhm.
And I had organized a meeting with the director, John Alvinson. He signed some autographs for me and made a video that talks about it. So that's how it all kind of came full circle. And it's kind of an amazing story.
Yeah.
It really is.
Chinese Kenpo.
Chinese Kempo.
Yep. Grandmaster.
So they say.
And, and 30 plus years, right? Of teaching.
Yeah, at this point it's 40 plus years. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic. Tell me how enriching that is. I know as regular teachers,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
obviously it is.
So the sense of appreciation and accomplishment you get from watching your students do well, right?
Hmm. Sure.
You take pride. It's like anything, like your own kids. You just say, I was part of that.
Right.
And one of the interesting things is that, first of all, rank wise, that you say grandmaster, 10th degree. I got every one of those degrees from my same instructor. So he's still around. He's still kind of in retirement, but he promoted me through every rank through the years. So it's not like I'm one of these guys that, got a 5th from this guy and a 7th from that guy. They all came from my same current sensei, Joe Rosas.
Wow.
But you don't kind of start taking karate to think that, one day I'll be a grandmaster 10th degree. You just kind of do it. And next thing you know, you're training and testing for your black belt. And then once you get your black belt, you realize, well, I'm not just going to stop. So you start teaching, and if you're teaching, you got to train too, just to be able to, kind of demonstrate, what you're doing. And so it becomes the test of martial arts really becomes your longevity. Can you stick with it? Are you still doing it? Are you still teaching? Are you still giving back? And like you said, when you see kids who, maybe they have some ADD, or maybe they just haven't had a lot of discipline, or maybe they're already very smart, very talented kids, and then you apply some methods and structure and give them, some of these things that they can work with, and then they
There
make
you
it their
go.
own. And
Yep.
you find that the ones that do really well also do well in school, and they play musical instruments, and,
Yep.
and they do volunteer work, and they do well in college, and go off and do all these great things. So you can't take credit for it, but you can take appreciation that you were part of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And that
Huge
I
piece.
know. Yeah,
Huge
absolutely.
piece.
So
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about teaching, and I'm sure you get this too, is when you don't realize, like in our profession, we may not realize we try to make, connections with all students, and sometimes you think you don't, but then you get that letter from that student that, hey,
Hmm.
you made this difference in my life, and I really
absolutely.
appreciate that. That's what, kind of what teachers
Worthwhile,
live.
my friend. Worthwhile.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
think, and I would say that's the same
Mhm.
in the way you instruct kids. But I will say this: I think what you do helps us because you teach
Mhm.
kids control and discipline as
No
well.
question. No question about it.
Yeah, I can see it happen, because especially with the youngest, I start them at 4, and I kind of just it's a lighter level of karate. It's not as structured as my older students, but parents will bring their 4-year-olds in with very little structure or discipline. Maybe they've done this or that or soccer or something, but I get them all lined up, and within 15 minutes they're all standing at attention, kind of following what I'm doing and responding, and it's like, wow. And then they come back the next class and they all line up. It's like, they don't even do that at school. Yeah,
Right.
but
That's exactly right.
I'm gonna call them on it, and I'll tell them no talking, and stand still and pay attention, and and try not to be too stringent, but at the same time, I think parents appreciate getting
Yes.
Great
getting
life
after it.
skills. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So I think we share that in our, in our teaching, and that's
Absolutely.
where we get that, that good feeling from.
Sure. Daryl, can you hang just a couple of minutes here as we kind of wrap it up?
Sure.
We appreciate your time tonight.
And I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh man,
We
it's been
really
a
appreciate
pleasure
you.
and an honor.
Yes,
And
definitely.
we wish nothing but the best for you, my friend.
Yeah.
We'll keep in contact with you for
All
sure.
right. The honor
Yes.
is mine. Yeah. Let me know when this goes into the world.
We we'll
I'll promote it.
send you the link. I'll send you the link later on tonight.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, DH. We're gonna finish out a gentleman from the UK. He's a singer, Ed Kuzek.
Yes.
Gave us permission
excited.
to play his
Yeah.
cover of the
And-
song, and it's a fan. By the way, check him out on YouTube. He's got some great stuff.
What a show to introduce this on. I mean, what
Mhm.
an amazing interview we just had, and now we're going to introduce this.
So we're gonna close it out a little bit. We did a little bit on the front end, DH, and we're gonna finish on the back end here with it.
Have
All
you
right.
already? Go ahead and hit our sponsors, and then we'll play that out.
There we go. We'll get the
Folks,
sponsors
I'll
in.
say until next time, folks. Remember, it doesn't cost anything extra to be kind to each
You
other.
got it, buddy. You got it.
Love that.
I'd like to thank our sponsors, Hudson's Flags and More, better known and operated. Also, the Nesting Project of Smyrna, Tennessee. We appreciate all their support. Check them out online.
Fight began, cause your life will depend on the strength that you have inside you. You gotta be proud, staring out in the crowd when the odds of the game defy you. Try your best to win them all. One day time will tell that you're the one who's standing there. You hear the final bell. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever take you down. You're the best around.
All right, my friends, as DH said, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself. And DH, stay cool, brother. We're going to have some
brother,
more
it's a hot
humidity
one here
coming
in
this way,
Tennessee.
huh?
Definitely, it's a hot one here in Tennessee. And Folks,
Only
till
here,
next time.
man. You're right.
yeah, folks, till next time, keep hanging out in the 80s. We appreciate
All
it.
right. Thank you, Daryl.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate
See
you, my
guys.
man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
You too.